She ran her manicured finger over Ramsay's lips. He smelled like formula and baby soap, she noted to herself. She winced at the thought of his dead mother almost instantly, but brushed the thought away soon after. Her raven locks fell over her shoulders now, no longer a prisoner of the tight bun it had been in before. She hummed under her breath softly, trying to urge the infant to sleep. He fought it almost as hard as she did. She hated sleeping. She dreamed of her past, never about something to look forward to. Astrid? A whisper asked. The woman looked up, her fierce brown eyes filled with tears. She choked them back, swallowing loudly. She cleared her throat and continued humming without responding to the owner of the voice. His hair covered most of his face, but she knew it was him by the way he crossed his arms over her chest, or his chest, whenever he was anxious. Sweetheart, his voice was soothing. This tiny baby will never know his mother, she said tenderly, not breaking her maternal tone, or his father, but that was more expected at least. The man placed his palms on her chin and cupped it with ease. I love you, he said with a glance of understanding. Ramsay will know what he should, that his parents died prematurely, but honorably. She shifted slightly in her seat, relaxing her body. The baby jolted at her sudden movement, but instantly resumed his slumber. His eyes were tightly shut, dreaming of his mother holding him, Ashford guessed. For now he would have to settle for her. Lionel, she murmured. I don't want her death to be for nothing. And it won't, not as long as we're around. Lionel smiled at her. No. She returned his smile with a forced one. Ashford stood, the baby still cradled in her arms. She reached him over the crib's railing and laid him down gently. Lionel wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed the side of her neck, running the tip of his nose across her jawline. She blinked, holding her eyes shut for a moment. Lionel was the one and only love of her life, and when they had a child, she would have two. However, with a job like hers, how could she ever really give a child what it needed? She pushed away from Lionel and walked to the door, hesitating to leave him alone. I love you too, her voice sounded unsure as she finally responded to him. He rubbed the back of his head and shuffled his feet uncontrollably while he stared at the orphaned infant in his crib. Fancy seeing you on my doorstep. Lucas looked into the eyes of the four people standing before him. Nonetheless, I think this might be interesting enough. Come on in. The four, one woman and three men, cautiously strolled into the brick townhouse. Inside they were met with men in suits, guns holstered to their sides. Ashford snapped at one of them as his hand traveled too close to the inside of her thigh. Lionel growled something under his breath as they were led into a formal dining room. The dark oak table sat many, the four barely taking up space. Lucas gazed in astonishment at them, then smirked to no one really but himself. The guards were soon motioned away, and the discussion began with the bewildered, "What brings you to my humble abode?" "Nothing you'll be too fond of," Lionel said under his breath. He was lying. Lucas would probably jump at the challenge they were about to present him with. "As you know, Lenore's son is only an infant," the blonde named Jack said with a stern look. "We have a proposition for you." "For little old me?" Lucas asked. "How lucky am I?" Lionel shifted again at the thought of him stabbing Lenore relentlessly. She wasn't only his friend. The years they had spent in training together had made her his sister. "We'll give you a fair chance at him, but you'll have to wait a few years until he's physically able to combat you," he said with an attitude. "Then, when he's fit, you can have a shot." Lucas pondered this for many moments. The four of them were ready to leave when they spotted Lucas finally escaping his thoughts. "How long?" was his first question. Ashford breathed a sigh of relief. If he was interested enough to ask specific questions, the bait obviously had worked. "Again, he's an infant now, and his training can't begin until he's 17, Lionel said reluctantly, "so let's call it an even 20. "I'm not sure I can wait that long. It is 2 decades after all." Lucas sat still for a second. "But the way I see it, it's no fun killing a child. His mother, after all, died giving the secret of his existence away. We must not punish him for his mother's confession." "You," Ashford was cut off. Lionel's hand was on hers, bidding her to sit down. She obeyed and excused herself from the room. As she left, the raven-haired man named Zenith spoke something she could barely hear. "So, are we agreed? 20 years? Lucas placed his fingers together and laid them hesitantly on the table. Is that it? There's nothing else you want along with this? Lucas sounded unsure without someone else adding another incentive. We will not fatally attack your household, and you will not fatally attack ours. Boarders, for once, will be respected. Lucas grinned from ear to ear now. That part of the deal was the cherry on top of a 20-year-long sundae. How could he resist lying in wait for a baby to become a man, only to dispose of him as he did his parents? Agreed, he said whimsically. He stood, letting the remaining three know their peaceful mediation was over with. The hope that Ramsay would be trained and learn how to murder this warlord was enough to make any of them happy for now. Lionel wandered out until he found Astrid standing by the front door. He pulled her close to him while kissing her passionately. Despite their location, it was his way of letting her know that all had gone well. Zenith and Jax rolled their eyes and turned to see Lucas staring. He looked at Astrid the way he had looked at Lenora for so long. Astrid noticed his gaze and squeezed her fingertips harder on the back of Lionel's neck. Lucas aimed a smile her way, only to have it return with a few choice words he couldn't quite make out. With that, he turned around to go further into his apartment. I suppose that's that, Jack said, the armed suit still watching their moves. Now, all we have to do is wait for him to grow up. So, that's the prologue. There's 24 chapters that are twice as long, so I will try to have them recorded and put up as fast as possible. But I hope you liked it, because I liked reading it, and apparently Chubbs thought it would be cool to read with us, so there he is. So, let me know how you guys like it. Okay, bye.